Weavers, so this video is going to kind of be like 2 reviews and 2 tutorials all in one. So first of all, I'm going to show you, or I'm going to review for you, these 2 items right here before we get to making my actual item. So this I picked up from a user off of Etsy. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, so I will connect you with her down bar as well as this one. But this took a really long time to get here, but the quality of the rings seem to be pretty decent. Like, they're not the greatest rings ever, but I did get a 50 count of them for $10, which isn't horrible. They did come from China, so maybe that is why it took 25 days to get here. I will say the user was super friendly, really responsive, got back to me really quickly. I told her I needed the rings, as soon as possible, and she said, track it here, and I just saw that it was in New Jersey or something like that. So really helpful lady. I just don't know if I would purchase again just because it did take so long to get here. This I got from Mold Muse. It is a mold. Compared to my thumb, it's a pretty decent size. It's about 1 inch in diameter for the entire mold. The user was also super friendly. Didn't really live too far away from me, I guess, so it only took, she said on average it takes like 3 days to get there, and it got here in 3 days, and I was really pleased with my item. The only thing I will say though is, and the packaging was cute too, I will say I was a bit disappointed because I did want this to be the entire mold itself. I wanted it to be 1 inch, but instead the actual, like in the description bar, it said that the mold was 1 inch, but I wasn't accounting for this entire thing. I thought it meant the rose, so, or the flower, whatever you want to call it. So make sure you know what you're getting into before you buy it. So now let's get started with the tutorial. First of all, I'm going to show you how to make a rose ring, which I should explain to you first, which looks like this. Just a rose ring. Maybe you've seen Candy Johnson wear it, maybe you've seen, it being sold in the stores, whatever the situation. So first of all, I'm going to start off with this. This is Fimo Soft in the color Peppermint. I have no idea why they call it peppermint, but okay, I'll go with it. So first of all, you want to break off a little chunk of it, and the camera needs to focus. But break off a chunk of it and you want to condition it. Conditioning it is super important. The heat of your hand will help allow it to move and be more flowy and all that good stuff. So you want it to be fairly, mushy. And again, I would recommend the Fimo Soft, like I said in my last video. So then I like to roll it to a ball for this particular tutorial part. And I'm going to show you what I do to put it into the mold. So I roll it into a ball, and then I just pinch the end, and then I'm going to pinch this in to make kind of like a point. So now I have like a round end with a point. I take the mold and I just shove this guy in here like this. And hopefully you can see. Then I take my fingers and just work it in like this. And then I push the center part in too that was pointed. And then I pinch the ends, but not to show like the edges of the mold, of the rose mold that's inside of it, to make a point again, and then I push it back in like this, but this time leaving a bit of a point, just to make sure that I know it's in there. That's whenever well, now I'm going to take it like this and just, like, this mold is really awesome too because you can bend it and do all kinds of stuff with it, and it'll be fine. It won't break. It doesn't transfer colors, all that good stuff. So anyways, I think it's ready to release now, so I use my little handle I've made and gently tug it out, and there you go. And what's also really cool about this particular mold is that, like this one, I kind of didn't drag it straight out. I kind of twisted it a bit, and if you look at the differences, now I haven't cut off the edges yet, but if you look at the difference in between this mold and this one, they're both from the exact same mold. I just pulled them out differently, so it gave a different effect, which is also really cool, I think. So then you can tell where, where the mold wasn't, it has all this excess, and I take my X-Acto knife and I just cut it off. It's super important to get a really straight cut. I'm doing this up in the air just because it's a better way for you guys to see, but and then you have this on the back. You want to try to get it as flat as a surface as possible. Now if you're using a very new clay, like this one that I just bought, and it's really soft, so if I touch the petals or that kind of stuff, they start to move and leave fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. So if you wanted to, you could leave this in the freezer for a few minutes or just lay it to the side while you do something else, but for the tutorial I'll continue. Make sure that this edge right here that you just cut off is very, you can see mine is not very flat. It's very, bumpy, and let me get it back into frame here. Not very good. But what you can do to fix it is either cut it off again and make it more flat, Or take your ring with the flat circle part on it that I showed you. This one for some reason has glue or something on it. But you're just going to stick it in the back of it and then kind of like, this is why you want to either freeze it for a few minutes or put it off to the side, because this is going to mess up your flower. But take this and just kind of like twist it in the center of it, like this, to kind of give like a distinguished circle there. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. But now that area right there, it may not look like it on camera, but it is flattened in that area. So after, you see I've already ruined the flower part. That's why you want to make sure to freeze it or do whatever you need to do. But that is going to make it sit on the ring and make it all fancy. Now do not bake it. Do not bake this attached to this. That's not what you want to do. What you want to do is after you've made this, you want to bake it. And here's one I've already baked. I follow the instructions. I think I leave it on, where are the instructions at? I leave my oven on to that temperature. This says 230 degrees. That's how long I leave it in there for. And I leave it in there for about 15 minutes to make sure the inside is baked too. The thicker the item, the longer you want to leave it in there. Now you'll know for sure which one is, what temperature is too hot. If you bake something that's white and it starts to get a little bit crispy colored, then you baked it for a little bit too long. But something this size, if you can see my finger, or like if it's at right here, pretty decent size. This you want to bake for about 15 minutes. That's a good amount of time. So now I'm going to show you how I attach it. This is tutorial part number 2. The back side is fairly flat, and I take my handy dandy super glue. This is the gel version. I'm not a huge fan of the gel version, but it gives me a bit more time to work with my item. So I just squeeze it on here like this and kind of move it around like that. That seems to be pretty good. And then I'm just going to attach it. Now you want to make sure you put it in the place you want it to, and then don't move it again. You want to just hold it there, allowing it to dry in its place. And it dries pretty quickly. Now the thing with the gel version that you gotta be careful about is that you think it's dry, maybe in 10 minutes, maybe in 20 minutes, but it technically still has a bit more drying to do. I would say give it overnight to dry, although you didn't use that much area to make it. That's what I would say, because I've had experience with using a bit too much super glue. Ooh, went blurry again. I've had experience with using too much super glue, and then I thought it was dry, put it on my finger, and it super glued itself to my finger. Yeah. But yeah, less is more in the situation, but if you don't have it very flat, like I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's kind of like a raised area right there. You can kind of see underneath it, because I made the molds before I got the rings, so that's why you want to make them at the same time. Because I made this one before this video. I made this before I received this. This took 3 days to get here. This took 25 days to get here, and I ordered them at the exact same time, so go figure. But anyways, this one looks pretty good. You want to make sure there's no glue coming up around the edges or any of those kinds of things, which is why less is more in this situation. If you feel like you want to re-secure it some more, you are welcome to put like super glue around the circle part just to like kind of reinsure it, which I've done before, especially with earrings, because they tend to pop off pretty quickly. So anyways, hope you guys liked this video. Oh, before you go, I wanted to show you this and see what you guys thought about this. So I was trying to make a Hello Kitty ring, and I wanted to make it like rectangular. I thought that would be like super cool, but it didn't turn out as cool as I wanted it to, but I don't know, maybe I should try again. But let me know if you guys want like a Hello Kitty type tutorial, and I'll make sure to do that for you guys next time. So leave all of your comments and questions down below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!